Hey everyone, I would like to talk to you about the power of making mistakes. Now, first, I would like to preface this by saying that I am not in any way, shape, or form an expert, a guru, or a life coach. In fact, I myself am at the beginning stages of the journey that I wish to take in order to achieve the type of success I've always dreamed about. In the last year or so, I have met a lot of very inspiring people, and I have learned a lot of ideals and concepts from them. The sort of ideals and concepts that I have tried very hard to incorporate into my lifestyle every day, be it business, personal, or dating and relationships. These ideals and concepts, I find, when I incorporated them in those aspects, have been very productive for me, and I have only started to scrape the surface in terms of the value that it could provide to me. However, as inspiring as these people are, I do realize that there are certain other types of people who have yet to begin to walk on the first rung, or maybe the first steps. There are certain types of people out there who do wish to achieve their goals, and who also listen to the types of experts and gurus that I have, may view them as somewhat too advanced to follow their footsteps, that the fear of failure may put them off, even put them off trying in the first place. So therefore I believe that the position that I am, i.e. the beginning stages of my life journey, is something that I can possibly help to fill in the gap, in that I myself am not different to anybody else, that I am no more advanced in the stages compared to anyone else. However, what I have done is I have taken these initial steps to start off in my journey. And so maybe I can act as the initial signposts where listeners can hear what I'm saying and probably think to themselves, do you know what? At this stage, I probably won't be able to achieve the type of success that these experts and gurus are. However, it is much more attainable to get from where I am, which is someone who is reluctant or fearful, and to go from that position to go, right, I'm going to go for it and I'm going to get started. Now, I myself am very similar to a lot of people. I have goals in my career, my personal life, as well as in my relationship. The difference between myself now compared to a couple of years ago is that I have this fire in my belly and the motivation to realize these goals and to realize it to its maximum potential. And I'm sure many of you listeners out there would also have goals and aspirations in one or two or all those areas, or maybe even goals and aspirations in other areas. However, a lot of the ideals and concepts remain the same. And so, as mentioned, in this particular occasion, I'd like to briefly discuss the concept, or should I say, the power of making mistakes. Now, when people think of the idea of mistakes, almost everybody, including myself, think of mistakes in a negative light. When people think of making mistakes, they would sometimes naturally think that this would lead to failure. And the idea of failure scares a lot of people. So much so that the idea of failure becomes so overwhelming to people that they decide not to venture out in any particular project or endeavor that they wish to pursue in the first place. Again, I myself used to only view mistakes in a negative light. However, having had the pleasure of meeting and talking to really inspirational people, I have come to view mistakes as a positive thing. And as the title suggests, I also view mistakes as a powerful thing. Now, I would like to add that when I say mistakes, I don't mean the type of mistakes that would end up hurting people or cause any sort of financial disaster or anything like that. No. When I talk about mistakes, I'm talking about the type of mistakes that, although they can be serious, they won't have any devastating results. And they are the type of mistakes that may include a little bit of risk, but in the end, the type of mistakes that you can afford to make and afford to bounce back from. Now, why are mistakes, do I find, such a positive thing, and why do I find them so powerful? Well, first off, mistakes are unavoidable. Everybody will make them. No matter how intelligent you are, socially, emotionally, or otherwise, or no matter how experienced or how much of an expert you are in any sort of field or industry or subject, everybody's prone to be making mistakes. So, because they are so unavoidable, you have to accept them. Also, mistakes are a great teacher. They provide you with a tremendously good learning curve. They act as reference points. So if you was to venture out into anything, be it a project or an activity, if you was to make mistakes and you was to make loads of them, then you would accumulate a lot of reference points. Now, these reference points would give you guidance as to what's gone right and what's gone wrong. And so the more reference points that you accumulate, the more you can refine the particular technique or method that you've set out to do. So let's take myself, for example. At this stage, I have already started to build the foundation for various projects that I have always wanted to do. And one of these projects is podcasting, to really sort of discuss about things that I'm passionate about, things on my mind, things that I feel, in the hopes that my opinion would be able to help, maybe even influence listeners in a positive way. And I think that this particular podcast in general is a perfect example of the point I'm trying to make. Because what you are listening to now is a very early attempt of what I'm trying to achieve. And I'm doing this in its raw form with minimum edits and post-production. I'm trying to talk to you naturally and just basically say what's on my mind right now. This is not scripted. What you're basically listening to are what's coming into my mind as I am recording this. Now, I'm talking about mistakes, and at this moment in time, I don't mind telling you, I'm not going to lie to you, that I am not sounding perfect. But that's okay, because the more that I'm doing these podcasts, the more reference points that I'm accumulating. And so the more episodes I put out, each episode, hopefully, would get better and more streamlined and more professional and more natural. Because I could very easily be thinking to myself, well, I've always wanted to do a podcast. I've always wanted to speak my mind. I've always wanted to help people. But yet I'm scared, or there's things that are getting in my way. I'm making excuses because I don't want to sound foolish or unnatural or unprofessional, etc. Added to that, I could also spend a lot of time watching videos, reading books about podcasting, about discussing ideas, etc. But if I don't go out and do it, as I'm doing it right now, then it will be a very unfortunate waste. Half the success is in just doing it. And so I hope that this demonstrates that I am indeed practicing what I'm preaching, in that I am myself do have my own critic inside my head. However, I am taking the steps just to do what I've always wanted to do. And so hopefully, for those of you that are listening to this, would be inspired to think about what I'm saying and apply these concepts and ideals to go out and do what you guys have always inspired to do. Now, I could go on and discuss this further. However, I just want to be able to provide this very digestible snippet of what I think is very important in what defines success. Hopefully, I will be discussing this in much more detail in a later podcast, as well as discuss other ideals and concepts that I truly believe are catalysts for success. I truly believe that whatever it is that you guys want to do, then just simply go out and do it. Don't be afraid to be making any mistakes. Don't be afraid to sound or appear foolish, because the chances are you probably will. But that's okay. As long as you get all these mistakes and all these inner critic type of elements out of your system in the early stages, then the learning will kick in and you'll be a step or two closer to the destination of success that you wish to end up in. So I hope you guys enjoy this initial digestible snippet, and I hope that you will be able to take this away and apply it to your own various projects. This podcast will be available on various media platforms, including various podcasting and video sharing platforms. Now, if you're listening to this on YouTube, then please like and subscribe, and that will provide me good feedback as to the types of future podcasts that I would be putting out in the near future. And for anybody who has any opinion on anything that I've said, then feel free to comment and discuss. Right, that'll be it for now, and good luck, guys.